In a world where hopium and common sense collide, starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto.
Question everything.
Ross, nothing.
Boys, Keeper and Crusader, and we're here for a What If Wednesday. Listen, we've got your boy RiceTVx. Rice, how you doing this evening, brother? You're muted, good sir.
Yes, I just realized. Thank you for having me on. I'm doing well. Thank you. Looking forward to today's conversation.
Glad that you are here, and we got your boy, the H Factor, up in the house. Mr. Cory, how you doing, sir?
I'm good to be here. Good to be here, first timer. So just 5 minutes with Rice lets me know this is gonna be a hair raising experience.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have fun. There is a
5 minutes with Rice.
That's right. Hey, 5 minutes with Rice. You can get some info there. We so Cory and I met. Can I call you Cory? Is that fine, Cory?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because it's too late if not.
Not too late. We're here.
Just call him Nicholas.
Yeah, exactly. Call me. Can you call me by my full government name, please? Yeah. So Cory and I met out in Vegas, and I knew when I met this man, I said, "Oh yeah, we got to bring Cory on for What If Wednesday," because we were talking about. You guys know what time it is on Wednesday. We were talking about a little political theater. And so I'm excited to have him on this evening. So we are going to have fun. Smash the likes, guys. Follow all of the socials. We've got H Factor's information down below the video. Obviously, Rice's information down below the video. Let's have some fun tonight. Chat. Let's get live tonight. We're going to be talking about China. So make sure to have some fun. Let's be respectful. But let's dive into it. Miguel, we want to check the market real quick. Just a little quick dive.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, cool. So let's take a peek at what the market is doing. I'm going to update my page here. Dun, dun, dun. We are still under 20, just over 19,000. We're up 2.3%. So we've got 975.96 billion with a B dollars. That's up 2.72%. And Bitcoin and ETH. Bitcoin at 19.3. ETH at 1637, actually on the rise. And if you've been wondering why I haven't been spending the time to go through the top 10, it's because in a bear market, one of the things that you will notice is that when Bitcoin is up, and you'll see this in the bull market too, but it's kind of more exaggerated, I should say, in a bear market. When Bitcoin's up a couple percent, most of the alts are up a couple to a few percent. It's just pretty consistent. So when I tell you we're up a couple percent, most of the market's going to be up that. So I don't want to waste anybody's time diving too deeply into it. Miguel, you got any new breaking news in the TA sector, sir?
Not TA exactly, but the reason why we're seeing a little bit of a pump today is it looks like the dollar was taking a bit of a dump, and then because Bitcoin and Ethereum were taking kind of a hit this morning earlier in the day, and then after that started happening, Bitcoin started to respond, climb back up, and obviously that helped Ethereum, and Ethereum was able to climb back over 1,600 due to that.
Can I add something in?
Yeah, what's up?
There's a lot. I was watching Crypto Zombie earlier, and there's apparently a lot of short action going on right now too. So we may see a short squeeze, which would mean we see some price action going up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so that could be partially responsible for where we're at, because a lot of people are talking about this 19,500, which I guess would be your 2017 high.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see where it heads. But again, as always, do your due diligence. We're not here for anything other than entertainment. So let's have some fun this evening. And let's dive into it. Miguel, tell me, what is on the podium this evening, good sir?
The American social credit that's just looming by, right? It's just coming by any second now. It's going to be activated. I mean, it depends how you see it, but man, China has been making massive moves, and those moves have been adopted here in the United States. And it sounds like a wild idea to think, wait a minute, communist country, democratic country, adopting communist ideals. But it is a reality. It's a very sad reality. A lot of people don't see it, but it is happening every single day. And unfortunately, if you've seen Black Mirror, you kind of already know the trajectory of where we're headed.
Yeah, it's a scary reality. Let me ask you, H Factor. We were talking before the show a little bit about some political stuff, and one of the things that you said was that it's amazing how coordinated the efforts seem over the years. And so, what I want to start off with is we talk about it all the time, crypto fan. We talk about the fact that there is a narrative at play here, but what they're trying to do is create division. So let's start with what hasn't been divided. H Factor, talk me through what you were talking about before the start of the show.
Yeah, I think, as we look at, it's easy to look at the differences between the administrations, from Obama to, from Bush to Obama to Trump to Biden. And it's easy to look at the ball back and forth, but what's critical is to look at what stays the same. A lot of the privacy acts and we're still building the wall. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't stop building the wall. So if you look at all,
I thought they just
that wall was racist. Hold on a second. That wall was racist.
But this show is very this show is very diverse. It's very multicultural too, so that's a good thing.
That's right. That's right. That's how we do things when we bring it to the forefront.
We covered the spectrum. How about that?
Full spectrum.
Full spectrum in here, man. I think for us, people like us, we're just looking at what as they slowly lower us into hell, right? The consistencies are your dollar buys less every administration.
Yep.
Consistently, more and more are falling into the poverty line, and it's starting to look like a mixed bag. It's going to be on shares and that everybody's in the pot just boiling.
They're coming for them.
They're
coming for you, dude. They're taking down your internet. They don't want what you had to say to get out, man.
I know. That's how it always is.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting. When Miguel and I talk a lot of times on the phone, we talk about how like we're on a list. And Rice, I already know you're on a list, but we bring you on here. Screw it, we're already on the list, right? H Factor, just so bro. Welcome to the show. You just put yourself on a list for being on here.
yeah. Welcome. Maybe you should have got that disclaimer.
But I agree with what you're saying though. Basically, what you're suggesting, Cory, is that like there's still puppeteers that are in the background, kind of pulling the strings and making sure that whatever the narrative is, they can make it look like they're fighting and that they don't want this and they don't want that and this, that, and the third. But really, I think they know the tug of war game. I think they know how far to pull on one side to create enough hype, to create enough division, to create enough hate. And then, hey, we got to pull it back a little bit. Pull it back. Miguel, you always compare it to a pressure cooker, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's happening, it feels like here. And it's leading us into a very interesting world. And I want to know, so Miguel, talk to me about, we've talked about this topic a lot. Talk to me about why this is such a scary idea, the whole social credit system, what's happening in China. We're going to dive into some stuff with the new executive order from Mr. Biden, all that good stuff. But talk to me about why this is just genuinely scary.
Yeah, dude. So before I get into that, I wanted to point out to a point that H Factor was saying about the administrations, right? People need to realize, and I don't think a lot of people do, the president is a part-time job. Right, that is not a full-time job. That is a what's the correct term for it? They're only there for a short period of time. So if you think that the president, right, the guy that's only there, it's a temporary job. That's the correct term, temporary. It's a temporary job. The guy's only there for 4 years, maybe 8 at most. There's other people in government that spend a lifetime. Right. And there's people behind the public government that have also spent lifetimes. Right? We're talking about CIA. We're talking about Pentagon. We're talking about all these 3-letter agencies that spend lifetimes in those careers. The president's only temporary for 4 to 8 years max. If you think that the president, it has full power of absolutely everything and knows everything and runs the show completely with no if, ands, or buts because they've got big cojones, it doesn't work that way. So people need to readjust that and rethink that and realize that it's a temporary job. The people that are actually full-time there, they're the ones running the show. So back to the social credit issue. Guys, smash the likes, hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Let's go. We're about to go in deep. So the problem with the American social credit, the problem here is we are going to be more and more tracked, right? One of the things that H Factor was just talking about is how do things stay consistent? One of the things that consistently keep happening is we lose more and more privacy every year that goes by, every administration that happens. That never changes. So we're losing more privacy. They're gaining, and by doing that, they're gaining more control. So once they fully gain control over your money, which they already have a good portion of it because your money is mostly digital in a bank locked up, right? Now your keys, now your coins. Same thing goes for the banks. In the social credit, they're going to be controlling how you spend your money and when you spend your money, right? Last time they gave us stimulus checks, I put mine into crypto. Other people spent it on other things, right? You can go out to the strip club. You can do whatever you want. You can stimulate the economy however you want to stimulate it. But they don't want that. Some people saved it. Some people stored it away. They don't want that. They want you to say, hey, we want you to go spend it at Walmart. We want you to go spend it at Amazon. We want you, and you have X amount of time. And if you don't do it, it's gonna poof, confetti, gone.
Well, that's what China was doing with the testing of their CBDC
at the Olympics, right?
Before the Olympics.
Okay.
Before the Olympics, because they were giving it to ex-citizens and to test it out, and you would have to spend it in a certain amount of time and at certain places. I mean, what's really scary about this and the fact that something like this could become a reality. One, you guys got to get into this. We've got to talk about this further in another deeper discussion. But this book, The Fourth Turning by William Strauss and Neil Howe, you got to get this. And it talks about different the way that history repeats itself in different patterns and different turnings that last certain time periods and different generations within those time periods. And every fourth turning is a crisis that usually has an event that incorporates the W to the A to the R kind of concepts, whether it be in a civil fashion or otherwise.
Got it.
But conflict, you got it?
Look, he's already bought it. No, he was showing Amazon, weren't you?
He owes you. I got the audio book. That guy owes you.
So yeah,
Okay.
so you're a very forward-thinking guy. So I mean, I'm glad that we connected. I'm glad that Keeper met you in Vegas and
The
talked to
government
you.
approves of that transaction.
Because and this is some deep stuff. I'm going to be doing more videos on the fourth turning, but it predicts where we are, and with all the conflict that's happening and the rhetoric that's being put out now, I look at Democrats and Republicans. You have two wings of the same bird. The American bird is the eagle, and they're just two wings of the same bird. I mean, technically they are working together. There may be some people within the system that are bucking against it. There are dualities. There are good guys in the fight, but ultimately the governments are doing what governments have been doing. And ultimately this is just leading up to more control. Yeah. The Biden Executive Order 14067 is the problem. Now, this is dealing with the responsibility of digital assets. And it was brought to my attention by Jim Rickards, who's a lawyer, economist, and investment banker. He's the author of The Currency Wars. A lot of people are familiar with Jim Rickards. He says in Section 4, and I haven't done a deep dive on this, which is why it's a what if. Section 4 brings about this idea of programmable currencies, which would be our CBDCs, and then the idea of how a social credit score could be implemented in conjunction with it because of speeches that Biden has made about people in groups that he deems to be a threat, which for the most part is the Republican Party.
Any future dollar payment system should be designed in a way that is consistent with United States and democratic values, including privacy protections that ensures the global financial system has appropriate transparency, connectivity, and platform and architecture, interoperability, or transferably as appropriate. Yeah, I'll believe some of that when I see it.
Tracking, tracing, no privacy. And then now what Miguel brought up a really good point. So what we saw happen in Canada, and I'll be very cautious about what we're talking about. People are very aware of an event that took place up there where the government had to go through their bureaucracy process to get approval to be able to freeze people's accounts.
Yep.
With a CBDC that's programmable currency, not programmable money, we got to get that straight. Programmable currency, they don't have to go through the bureaucracy of getting approval on a political level to freeze people's accounts. It's designed to
That
do
way.
exactly that, which is
Mhm.
extremely scary. And if you think about what's been transpiring in our nation, I've talked about in World War II, the country that we were fighting, the main country that we were fighting against, lost, but the ideology of that country won.
Mm.
And socialism has crept into our political system to the point that the majority of people who identify as Democrats really identify as socialists, whether or not they want to
Ooh.
recognize that or not, but whether or not they have cognitive dissonance, whether or not they've been trapped by some magical spell, whether they're part of the plan, whatever the deal is, that's just the way I feel about it. So I'll just kind of stop talking and we'll share the conversation.
No, that's a wild, but Rice, what you said there, when you know, I was like, woo, because the reality is, if you truly dive into what socialism is, it's exactly what you're talking about. It's like, hey, everyone needs to be equal, no matter what. Well, guess what? My dad always used to tell me this growing up. Life's not freaking fair, because if it was fair, the people that would genuinely work their butts off, no matter what, those people are still going to do that, and they're not going to be rewarded, right?
No
The people that
incentivization.
yes, there's no incentive. And then the people that are just lazy, well, they're just going to be lazy because why not? It's not, I mean, it's not going to hurt me, right? And so who gets hurt in all of that? Everyone in the middle.
Except for those that do what they're told.
But just do just enough.
Because our brother
Yep.
and sister who become our narc now will start getting paid for doing that and being incentivized by our social credit system. Maybe not paid in a CBDC or a dollar, but they might
Yeah.
get some brownie points for their social credit score.
Yes.
Yeah.
That happens in Cuba all the time, by the way.
I'm going to have an extremely low score. So I'm going to need a lot of help.
There's an episode on Black Mirror about scores.
Don't worry.
Somebody also mentioned the Orville episode, season 1, episode 7. I had to check out and see what that's about. So maybe there's some similarity. That's homie from Family Guy. So he's pretty creative with the way he slips in some stuff.
All the Black Mirror stuff is incredibly creative. What were you gonna say, H Factor?
Gonna be riding a bicycle as fast as you can. Try to improve your credit score soon, and don't worry, we got
the hamster wheel.
Gotta power up the grid on your bicycle.
Get on that hamster wheel.
That's right. And that's exactly what's happening in that episode. That's exactly what's happening in that episode too. That's
I know.
wild.
That's why I was saying it. Yeah, be a good little hamster.
And so what's happening here, right? So they're taking away the ability to just, first of all, let's talk about freedom of speech. Right now, all of a sudden, if this creeps in, and I was talking to Rice about this a little bit earlier, if this were to creep in, okay, let me give you some things that actually Rice rattled off earlier, right? So in China, right, if you say the wrong thing on social media, you forget to pay a bill, or even play your music too loud, you're going to be labeled as untrustworthy.
That's from Jim Rickards. It's not me. I don't want to take credit for that.
Okay, cool. So Jim Rickards, okay. They can then take away your ability to travel. Okay. Restrict your internet access.
Pause. Digital ID. Another thing we need to talk about in the future.
Yep. Digital. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's how you stop your travel. I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep it. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Deny your family the best schools or jobs. And they can even take away, I didn't know where this one came from, but they can even take away your pets. Hey, listen, I wouldn't put it past them, but this is all happening right now. And some of what this new order by Joe Biden kind of gets into this. And so I don't live life scared. Okay. But I do live life with my eyes open to the fact that I live my life with a 15-month-old daughter, right? Who I don't want to see her life made ridiculously, like programmed because of the school systems that we're in, or the things that you can or you can't say. You can't say that. Why can I not say that? Right?
Well,
it's not socially acceptable.
And then I'll say something. Go ahead.
No, you can jump in, Miguel. I'm just saying, like, the whole reality behind this is just, if you don't agree with my narrative, because this is my biggest problem with it. I don't care how you live your lifestyle. I don't care what you believe or how you believe about whatever it is, right? Yeah. You cannot push that, your lifestyle, your beliefs onto me. And what's happening right now is if your lifestyle, your beliefs, and everything line up with the current agenda, then you can talk about it all day long and push it on anybody you want. But the moment you disagree, the moment you say, you know what? No, I don't believe that. I don't subscribe to that idea. Now you are the bigot, you are the racist, you are the homophobe, you are everything that is a problem in the United States. And the reality is, and I always use this example and I'll use it again. Listen, if we're playing that game, I identify as a king. You will bow when you stand in front of me, and you will kiss the ring, right? Because that's how I identify as Lord freaking Keeper. Okay. And I know that sounds extreme, but the reality is none of y'all view me as a king, right?
I do.
I think it's the same
because
idea.
You identify as such. I respect that.
Thank you, Rice. You know what, Rice? I knew I loved you, bro.
King Keeper over
Thank
here.
you.
No,
Thank
I mean
you.
I identify as a dolphin. Does that work?
Well, I don't know. Are you blowing air out the back of your neck? I'm not really sure. Miguel, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say so like 2 points. One, to the point that that Rice was saying about the indoctrination. Actually, you were talking about how they restrict your travel, your ID. All of that was already immersed into our culture with the fog around the world. The fog around the world did exactly that, right? If you were not one of the team, right, you can't go on a cruise line. You can't travel anywhere. Exactly. Dude, 100%.
I can't say it, unfortunately. The YouTube overlords will destroy this channel. So you guys can read.
That's right.
Exactly right. Exactly. So I couldn't go on a cruise line. I couldn't do a lot of things because they restricted what people that were not part of the team could do. It was easy as that. So that's already been put into our culture. People were literally dividing themselves like, oh, you're not part of my team. I can't be around you. I can't even deal with you. Right. And then 2, what you were saying about your daughter, right? Your daughter growing up, and you don't want her to grow up in this world. The sad reality is that she, right, just like my daughter, will grow up in this world. And if the indoctrination does take place the way it's been taking place, they won't even know, right? They're being plugged into the matrix. So for them, that's going to be normal. You're going to be telling them all these crazy things, and I'm going to be telling them all these crazy things. They're going to look at you like, Dad,
you're crazy.
What is wrong with you? Get with the times.
I disagree, though. I disagree. I grew up,
that.
My parents and my family smoked weed all my life, and they were open with me about it. And I don't necessarily think that if you instill the right values in your children are going to look at you as being the ultimate resource, the know-it-all. If you teach your child the right way, so that they're going to start questioning everything, to use that critical thinking. But the parents who aren't spending that time, but if you're going to take the time to put your kids into public school, you've done screwed up anyways.
Yes.
So that would be part of it when it comes down to it. But it's really going to take parents making sure that they're involved with their kids' life, communicating about what's going on, so that as they're growing up and they're teaching and giving them values, that they can show about how those values relate with situations that they're dealing with in school, if you're, or whatever the situation might be in those instances. I just want to say I have more hope. I have more hope for children, especially those that are raised by critical thinkers.
Yeah, you could definitely. There's definitely ways you can go about it, but like the schools, right? Public schools are removing the parent as an authority figure, making.
That's why I said if you're sending your kids, to public school, you've done screwed up. Period.
Yeah.
If you don't have the time to do the teaching yourself, private schools or figure out with your community ways that you guys can work together in educating each other's children. But there are avenues versus public schooling, which is just an indoctrination camp.
H Factor, what were you about to say?
We unschool, first of all, to his point. We unschool. I totally let my kids detox for about 8 months. I let them do whatever they do. I let them do whatever they wanted to do for 8 months, and then now we let them choose their education pathway. So some of them chose to go back to school, some of them are home, but I'm with you on the whole idea of that whole fake meritocracy that they created and how it doesn't lead to anything. Now back to the social credit and China. I wanted to say this: when they rolled out their CBDC, the first place that they did it was in the food, right? They did it through the Department of Agriculture.
Okay.
And I think as we look at what they're planning here, I would pay very close attention to the same mechanisms. I would pay very close attention to how they manage the welfare and how they manage, the distribution of food. They're privatizing a lot of the farmland, privatizing a lot of the,
Well,
the
H, since you mentioned it, and I just had to add this in, when I think about public assistance over the past few years here in Winston-Salem, and a lot of times this happens in low-income areas, which tend to be ghettos. A lot of times what I've seen recently with the public assistance, now there's rules. So you can't get Section 8 housing if somebody has a conviction of a drug offense, or if you're allowing somebody who has a conviction of a drug offense, you can't even get that government assistance now. So it is kind of like where they're programming that money from because you can't say anything when you're getting the assistance.
Yeah.
If you want it, you got to comply. Yeah,
exactly. So, and then, it'll be soon all the other compliances and, the rabbit hole, as you like to say. So either you are compliant or non-compliant, right?
Yeah.
To what degree?
It snowballs from there. And the question becomes, and I've asked this a number of different times, like, where's the line? I want to play real quickly if I can, because when I read, so I was looking there was a speech done by President Obama, former President Obama, where he suggests, actually, he doesn't even suggest, he flat out says that at the point, now he's talking specifically about Republicans in this talk, but he says in this talk that at the point he's saying they, but I don't care, insert Republican, Democrat, government, whatever you want to insert in there, go ahead and insert it, right? At the point that they have created so much confusion that you don't know which way is up, essentially, to where you guys are just fighting each other just to be able to fight each other. They have won. And what's scary, and I'm going to play, it's I don't know, this might be like maybe I'll play 2-3 minutes of it. I'll stop. It won't be long, but watch this video. So I don't have that one.
It's worth it. I had to play the whole thing. It's worth it. It's like maybe 3 minutes. But
this might be 3 minutes long, but I want you to, as you listen to what this man says, think about the intellectual dishonesty that I see from this video. I'm going to pull this video up right now and just watch this video for just a minute here. And we're going to talk about this in just a second. Let me see here. Boom. Can you see that, Miguel?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And make sure you can hear it. Tell me if you can hear this.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody have a seat. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So charismatic.
Hello,
Okay, full screen on that.
I am about to.
It is great to
if you can turn it up, try.
California and back in beautiful Palo Alto. Coming here always makes me want to go back to college. I'm convinced that right now, one of the biggest impediments to doing all of this, indeed, one of the biggest reasons for democracy's weakening, is the profound change that's taken place in how we communicate and consume information. For more and more of us, search and social media platforms aren't just our window into the internet. They serve as our primary source of news and information. No one tells us that the window is blurred, subject to unseen distortions and subtle manipulations. All we see is a constant feed of content where useful, factual information and happy diversions and cat videos flow alongside lies, conspiracy theories, junk science, quackery, white supremacists, racist tracts, misogynist screeds. And over time, we lose our capacity to distinguish between fact, opinion, and wholesale fiction.
Here we are.
Tech platforms need to accept that they play a unique role in how we as a people and people around the world are consuming information, and that their decisions have an impact on every aspect of society. With that power comes accountability.
This is from this year,
in
too.
democracies like ours, at least, the need for some
about a minute and a half more.
As citizens, we have to take it upon ourselves to become better consumers of news, looking at sources, thinking before we share, and teaching our kids to become critical thinkers.
That's great.
Know how to evaluate sources and separate opinion from fact. TV is a tool.
Ooh.
The internet is a tool.
You are a tool.
Social media is a tool.
No, they do use these tools for propaganda.
At the end of the day, tools don't control us.
Yeah, they do.
Remember that.
Control them. And we can remake them.
Tools are controlled by tools.
It's up to each of us to decide what we value and then use the tools we've been given to advance those values. And I believe we should use every tool at our disposal to secure our greatest gift. A government of, by,
What?
for the people, for generations to come. And I hope you agree with me, and I look forward to you joining in the work.
April 22, though. April 2022.
Hold on. Let me just say one thing real quick. Sorry. He legitimately, with a straight face, just said that our greatest gift is a government for and by the people. Our greatest gift, right? I watched this earlier, right? And I was like, I can't believe, because what's happening in and I want to hear what you guys think about this, but the biggest thing that I see here is that he's trying to call out the misinformation, right, that happens with social media, and these tech companies have to be, whatever. This is the president that legitimately took a law out. That there was a law against propaganda. Guess who made that law no longer a freaking law? Obama. And he wants to stand there with a freaking straight face and say, the internet, the TV is a tool. Well, sir, you seem like a tool if you really want to know what I think about it.
Well, it is a tool, though. It's a tool of propaganda, though, for real, though.
But no, I know it is. But what I'm trying to say is that he ultimately is utilizing what he put into place to manipulate you and then telling you
to your face.
Oh, yeah. To your face, like, hey, I used all of this against you. And also, by the way, you guys are idiots if you don't support the government that I'm all about. So let me hear your guys' thoughts.
But he's also saying that you're an idiot because you believe what the hell I just said.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the biggest thing, it's the fact that it's people are convinced by this, that it's for their best benefit. And it goes back, and I'm paraphrasing, and I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said, but those who give up their securities for a false sense of liberty deserve neither.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that speech. I don't know what you guys talking about. I agree. He said we should hold them accountable. I completely agree. We should hold Facebook accountable for lying and suppressing the Hunter Biden.
Did you see the Joe Rogan interview?
Yep.
I haven't watched the whole thing, but have you seen the Joe Rogan interview?
I haven't seen the whole thing
because Zuckerberg said the reason why Facebook hid that information was because the FBI came in and told them. And it wasn't the first time the FBI came in and told social media platforms to keep this information out from the public eye.
Exactly.
So that is the problem, is our intelligence agencies. It's not necessarily social media, because I can't, in this sense, just based off that interview, I can't 100% fault Facebook because all their fucking funding came from the government.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, obviously the FBI comes knocking the door. No company is going to fight back against the FBI, because then they're not going to be in the position of power that they're in anymore. But I think social media, right? They're trying to restrict this and restrict that and then hold them accountable for this. Hey, it's a platform where people speak. And if they're speaking nonsense, let them speak nonsense. It's the people's job to do your own research and figure out what is nonsense and what is not nonsense from it. This whole fact that we're coming here to save you guys away from the bad information. Who decides it's bad information? You do. So when it's something against your interest, it's bad information, like the Hunter Biden. But when it's for the people or it's for your benefit, then it's good information. So take that whole authority figure out of play. Let social media platforms be what they are, where people speak their minds, right? First Amendment, freedom of speech. Let them speak whatever it is. If it's nonsense, people will know, hey, this is nonsense. I'm not listening to this channel anymore. I'm not listening to this guy anymore. Unfollow, unsubscribe, whatever, and it's done. The people decide.
Yeah, but
H-
if you allow too much truth to get out there, people will actually listen to what people like us
Oh,
have to say, and they
for
might
sure.
actually start questioning our government and what's going on, and they might start being on our side, and then we may not
Yep.
be in the minority anymore.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly.
So you can't allow us to speak. And really quickly, the ironic thing about all this, and it reminds me of Howard Stern, because Howard Stern, when I was growing up, was one of the most controversial people there was. And back then, it was just like turn him off, turn him off, turn him off. It wasn't cancel him, take away his right of free speech, none of that. But now that we've come full circle where we are now, Howard Stern calls for censorship.
He does. He's really bad
Oh.
about it too. And so you're totally right. H Factor, I didn't hear from you on this one. What are your thoughts on that Obama speech?
Number one, I thought he was very eloquent. I thought that the wordplay was magical.
He's always been like that.
What I didn't really get was a call to action, right? I didn't really understand the whole point of the so what? Like, you're not serving in office anymore. You're not in any office of any kind. So I'm looking for the so what, and it makes me say that about all of these former presidents, all of these former people, right? I mean, the best thing you can do is just go back to citizen and quit trying to continue to country from the sideline, and we've tolerated it for generations, right? Every time Obama comes up or some former guy, I don't care, Jimmy Carter, I mean, we're still listening to hear what they got to say about stuff, and none of that has anything to do with the future. Everything has everything to do with upholding their executive order from 1970, whatever, you know. And I'm over it. You know, I'm over the whole. You know, I think the kids are ready to lead. I think they're a lot smarter than we. They have access to so much information. They're way smarter than the school systems have the ability to contain, and they're amazingly quick with words. and I think they are they can read through the BS. They're not even interested in NFL, NBA, MLB, MLS. They're not interested in any of that. They're interested in trying to make money. They're interested in trying to, you know, to be counted, right? To be to create value. And they want to travel and leave this crazy hellhole we've created, this argument circle. Because all we do in America is freaking argue. So that's my opinion on it all, is that none of those guys are gonna make anybody 100% happy. It's gonna make 50% of people happy and 50% of people pissed off. And that is the most toxic environment I can raise any kid, you know?
Yeah, but him showing up there, right? He's representing his team, right? He's representing his team, and he said key words, right? Hold them accountable, right? Certain things are a tool that need to be held accountable. What else is something else that is in that narrative talking about being held accountable? Right? We're talking about pews, right? I don't know what you want. I don't know what we want to call them here on the channel today, but that is the same narrative. We got to hold them accountable, right? So they're starting to program you to like, yeah, we got to hold these companies accountable for what they're doing to us. These companies are doing things, but it's not the companies. It's the governments in the background manipulating everything, right? So they're programming you, already dropping these seeds of holding these companies accountable, and then they shift the narrative real quick. Hey, who else is online on the TV talking? Oh, look, they're on the same team. Biden's on the same team as Obama and Hillary and all these other people, and they're talking about holding this other thing accountable for what they're doing as well. Yeah, let's go with that. I agree. Let's go with that. And that's how they start, you know, putting all the pieces together. They drop all these little pieces here and there.
And that's how they back each other up too. It's like by keeping that narrative and not necessarily pushing the same thing, but pushing the same message. They don't have to use the same words or the same verbiage, but it's the same. Pretty much a lot of what's come out of Biden's mouth recently is very identical to what was said by Obama. And obviously Biden served under Obama. There's a lot of question about who's going to run on the Democratic side in 2024. And there even is some talk about Michelle Obama. So now there is a lot of influence that former presidents have had. Someone like Jimmy Carter, as far as his peace, the way that he talks to other nations as a diplomat, he's still considered very relevant. So regardless of, and this is not something that I'm proud of saying, but I just had to go with reality. Former presidents are still considered relevant in what they've done, and a lot of people, especially depending on how their presidency went, will consider what they have to say. Again, Jimmy Carter is a good example because he wasn't the best president at all, but he's still being used by our government for diplomatic purposes. Still, I think currently, even as old as he is.
Yeah, and as
but
we
it's on the same team.
Yeah, that's kind of the theme here, right? We have this illusion that everybody so in at the top there is an understanding, right? I talk about the dinner parties. There's an understanding, hey, we're all on the same team, but like we got to really put on a good act here, right? We got to basically play Hollywood. We need to make sure that we all disagree on basically everything under God's green earth, but only so much as gets done what we want to get done, and just keep that illusion going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. And
never
as
on spending.
What'd you say? They what?
On spending. We've never once disagreed on spending. We've
on how we spend it, we definitely argue about that for sure. But yes, we're always want to spend. You're right, H Factor, for sure. Tell me what you meant by that.
I mean, we always seem to come together when it's time to spend money. You know, we can
bring her on, baby.
Omnibus spending bill. It seems like the only thing that heals 100% are these omnibus spending bills, and I mean 100% on the Ukraine spending.
Yeah, but I mean, as we were talking a little bit privately before we went live, I mean, with this infrastructure reduction bill, this was a complete divide. So maybe like what we've seen in the past where people have started coming together, because I really feel like with this division, party politics is going to come into play. So unless it's really detrimental to our nation as a whole, I see more of party politics coming into play and people playing that role, because that's the one thing, again, that we're not talking about with the infrastructure or with the Inflation Reduction Act, is that when it went through Senate with 100 senators, 50 Republicans, 50 Democrats, it was exactly that. It was a divided House, 100% divided, that the Senate Majority Leader, our currently Vice President, is the one who pushed it through as the Senate Majority Leader. So we're very divided. I agree with you on some elements, but I'm starting to think with a lot of the rhetoric that's being put out by Biden, especially with his last speech that he did, talking about America's biggest threat, and we're not talking about China or Russia or anything like that. It's all internal.
Yeah.
It should show a little bit more of that direction. And this is the first time that we've seen something like this take place. It's always been a lot of mudslinging as far as like the right and left, but now it seems like
it's getting personal.
They're trying to get rid of the other side. They don't even want a two-party system. They just want it to be one party, and they want absolute total control. And they're going to try to scare the average citizen into that fact.
Well, no, that's a great point. That's a great point, Rice, because the one party system would just be this. It would just be, hey, you agree with me, right? And ultimately, it's just
we're
saying,
going to shut your money down, and you can't travel, and your social credit score is going to go down, Mr. Rice.
And that's what I am worried about. And I know it sounds so. The funny thing is, it's like that you've heard this joke before. It's not my joke, obviously, but the difference between a conspiracy theory and a fact is 8 months or whatever, right? And the reality is, we're seeing that come to fruition a lot, right? And I called it the plandemic long time ago. And my mom, her response, Mom, I love you if you're on here. Her response was, Nicholas, are you kidding me? What would the government have to gain by doing that? Right. And if she ever sees this, she's gonna tell me I did a terrible job. I don't look like that. But my whole point in saying that is that I know that some of the things that we talk about here sound a little bit like exaggerated or crazy or whatever, and I know that they do.
It does
but,
not, dude. Quit making it sound. No, it's reality.
But that's what I'm getting at. But it only sounds crazy because we've been programmed to think that it's crazy. The word conspiracy from the CIA was put into your brain to think wild ideas that are like out of this world. They're not a real thing. And so they use these words and these words and these words. And then we take definitions and we change the definition of a word if we don't like how it's coming off. We do all of these things to just wordplay, wordplay, wordplay. And it's finally to where people, I think, are waking up and saying, this doesn't make sense. This does not equate. It doesn't work, and we need a change. And that's where I think we're at right now in the monetary system too, because we're seeing, well, now all of a sudden we don't. What are we going to do? We're going to move towards hyperinflation. We don't know where we're headed there. This, that, and the third. And most people don't understand economics, macro or microeconomics, well enough to see, hey, how can we actually slow this thing down without just, shutting the whole economy down? So at any event, the whole point of what I'm saying is that they rely on you not asking enough questions or being strong enough or capable enough to do your own research and genuinely come up with your own solution. They just want you to listen to what was put on TV and do what we say that you should do.
And they're good, man. They're good at it because, look, my family came from Cuba, right? Communist country, right? They saw all the lies, all the manipulations right and left. And even then, even now, still, when the whole, fog around the world started, they believed it, right? They took them a very long time, and they said the same thing. Why would the government, right? The government of the United States, there's this immediate trust that it's the United States of America, number one, the land of the free. There is no way that they would be doing anything against the people, right? This is the type of stuff that we see in Cuba. These were words from my parents. You see that in Cuba, but you don't see that here, not in America. And I was like,
it's cognitive dissonance, unfortunately.
You got to catch up. You guys
like
are not living in the same America that you guys were living in when you came here in the 90s.
Being lowered slowly into hell. They've already dug the pit, and they're lowering you slowly into hell. And I think being a solutions-minded person, I think a lot of what we're doing is about creating some roads out of this hellhole, right? And even if they're small, like we said, you don't want to live in fiefdoms. You still have to create safe spaces, and build bridges to a way out. Because ultimately, this sounds like doom and gloom. But I think, what do you guys think? What is the antithesis to some of this? What is the antithesis to a social credit score or a CBDC? What do you guys?
Yeah, that's a good question.
This is a great question.
I didn't want to ask that question.
Yeah.
Counter economics. We need counter economics. We need parallel societies, and we need to form ways against the system to create our own systems. Basically, that's the way out. Because I see what's going forward.
Speak English for the people that aren't on your level with that, Rice. Counter economics and parallel societies.
Not using things like the United States dollar and not supporting the system. It's opting out, not participating, and using alternatives. Cryptocurrency would be a good thing. We don't have to utilize the systems that we have. We can create our own, using our own communities and interconnect those communities. And there's websites that I've talked with you that very much are in parallel with what you guys are doing with DCA that would allow for us to connect. But it really takes people actually taking a stand where you might feel uncomfortable, where you might feel this may become problematic. I've had the conversation with loved ones, with family about being on a list and having people come visit my home and things like that. I know what I'm getting into when I'm getting involved in the things that I'm talking about, but it takes more than just the four of us. It takes all of us. It takes as many people as we can have that manifesting that idea that I say all the time, which is when enough people take a stand, nothing can stand against the people, and we can really change the world. But if you think about the idea of digital ID, CBDCs, programmable money, social credit score system, and you even look at things from a spiritual perspective, from like Christianity and prophecy and things to that effect, and you look at where we are heading, we need to create alternatives, because if you're not one of those little sheep that's not going to go back to sleep, because that's what I would suggest. If you're not prepared, little sheep, go back to sleep. But those that don't want to go back to sleep are going to be problematic, and we're not going to be able to participate in the reindeer games. So we need to figure out ways that we can get around that, and we need to create those before it's too late.
Yeah, I have more of a black pill vision on things. I think, people like us and other people, there's always going to be some small group of people that will do something, that will try to do something, try to spread the information, and maybe even put up some type of fight. But I think it's doomed to fail. Whatever we're talking about that's coming will take place, right? Will defeat this somewhat of a resistance that you can call, and at some point in the future, after that system is put into place and the people are living within that system, and this so-called resistance, or whatever you want to call it, dies out, there will be a new resistance born from within, because it's about squeezing the people, right, to the point where now they have nothing to lose. And when they have nothing to lose, that's when people stand back up. And I think they know that, so they know that they can't squeeze us too hard right now to the point of we have nothing to lose, because we will stand up. So I think we're going to slowly fall into the system the way it is, and we're doomed. We're doomed for it to happen.
Real quick, nothing to go in length, but I argue because people are going to need food, and they're going to need a roof over their head, and they're going to need some place to keep themselves warm in the winter.
All of that will be provided to the people that comply, and it's
right, exactly. Those who comply.
The compliance and the convenience factors will stop the resistance from taking place, right? Do you really, if you think about, actually putting up some type of resistance against government entities, that means that you do not get to go back home that night, watch some Netflix, go to sleep, and then wake up the next day and do it all over again. That means you do not go home. You do not see your family, right? You either take your family with you, or they're left behind, and you are in this predicament until the foreseeable future. You're either caught, you're either dealt with, or you decide to go, away. So
it could be Red Dawn-ish almost.
Yeah, exactly like that, right? And I think there's too many conveniences in life right now, for people to actually stand up and be like, I'm not gonna go all the way out there. I'll let that be somebody else's problem, and people will just.
Then it goes back to what Rice said. Then it's gonna be micro communities. I look at currency as a means of free speech, until we know that the right to transact is like the right to talk, then until we feel that way about it, then we're going to continue to have that right taken away from us,
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with that. And actually, I want to tie this in as we kind of wrap things up to the NFT community. The NFT communities, they rally around an idea. They rally around, maybe it's a piece of art. Maybe it's something that piece of art does. For us, we brought the prepper community and the crypto and NFT community together and said, hey, listen, you have a responsibility to your family to be ready. I didn't say you had to build a bunker in your backyard. I just said, hey, you might want to think about having some extra food, maybe some extra freedom seeds, maybe some extra water purification methods, maybe just being knowledgeable, maybe, but all of these maybes are really, hey, you should probably take a look at this. And so what I'm getting at is these communities can become something bigger than just micro communities. The micro communities are great, and we can do that. But if we start to band together just as people, I talk about this so much, like if we can genuinely get over the stuff that they're trying to get us to bicker and argue over and be able to have a conversation. I used to be able to sit down with someone that thought 100% different than me, have a conversation, just a back and forth conversation. And it didn't turn into a fist fight, or I hate you. You're no longer friends with me, or, whatever. And that's what it comes to now, is like, if you don't agree with me, you're not only wrong, but I'm not going to talk to you any longer. You are evil. You are not human. And it gets all of these wild things. If we can get past that and say, hey, listen, the world will be a very boring place to live if everybody agreed on every single topic. Think about how annoying that would be if like you just never had anybody give any pushback on anything, right? Just
I would
just,
hate life.
just yes, man, yes, man, yes, man, yes, man, yes, man. My gosh, that would be freaking boring and it would not be productive. And sometimes getting some pushback makes you grow. I know in my businesses, my employees pushing back on some things when maybe I think there's a better way to do something. And they're like, but wait a minute, you know, if you do X, Y, and Z, it would be more effective. We're on the job sites every day and they bring it forward. They're like, man, I got to be able to get out of my own way sometimes. And so I challenge everybody here. Be able to get out of your own way. Talk to somebody maybe that doesn't agree with you on everything. Stand next to a pool in Vegas and have a conversation with somebody you never met before, right? Talk to people because these people are still people and we need to love each other instead of just creating division and hate. The government is propagating this. It is being pushed on you. It is being inbred into you. And we didn't even get into this tonight. I was going to get into it a little bit, but we, kind of went a little bit different direction. But like the algorithms on these social media channels, the TikTok algorithm, it's a whole nother stream, is pushing something totally different to China than it is pushing to you and I in the United States. Why do you think education is being pushed over there, but dance videos and anything confrontational is being pushed over here? Because a country divided, a country distracted cannot be as strong when it's time to actually go to battle. I'll say that figuratively, right? And so I just want to challenge people to have your eyes on what's actually happening. Don't be distracted by all of the hoopla, left, right, and center. It's noise. It's noise.
Do some homework. Watch the movie Idiocracy, because when you talked about the Chinese algorithm and how it works on TikTok and China versus the United States, it is almost as if they watched that movie and the Chinese government is trying to dumb down America.
Yeah.
It's definitely there.
Watch Idiocracy and educate yourself and help us to not make that a reality.
Yeah, it's definitely there, Crypto Fam. We are here to try to help you open those channels, those thoughts. It's not always going to be convenient. It's not always going to be easy. In fact, I think the hardest things to do sometimes are not easy, right? Like that makes sense. The hardest things to do are not easy. Yeah, no kidding. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes some of the best things that you can do are not going to be easy. So I would just challenge you, talk to somebody that doesn't maybe agree with you on everything, hear them out, be loving. Crypto Fam, we love you guys. You could be anywhere on a Wednesday night, but you are here with Keeper, H Factor, Rice, and Crusader. Make sure that you follow these gentlemen on all of their socials. It's down below the video. Jump into our Discord. Follow everybody on Twitter. Guys, we do this and spend our time. These gentlemen came on here. It's not like they're getting paid to be on here tonight. But
you're not paying me? I thought you're fucking paying me. Dude,
Rice, don't tell everybody all
I wasted an hour of my time here. Fuck.
I know. So I just challenge everybody to reach out, love somebody, question everything, trust nothing. Oh my gosh. Hold on a second. Let's back that up.
Wow.
Question everything.
Trust nothing.
And until next time, hodl.
Like a tie.
We'll see you soon.
Hodl like a tie.